I'm Candice Foy. I'm here coming live from Australia, and I am really, really, really privileged to be getting the opportunity today to interview Alan Ogden. So he is in Vancouver, Canada, and he has been in this health and wellness industry for over 40 years and has specialized in pediatrics and in geriatrics and in mental health. I love that you have such a passion to just empower people with education to make really wise choices about what it is that they're putting into their bodies so that they can actually get back off the sidelines and get back into the life that they were created to live. So I'm really honored and excited to get to share this with everyone today, Alan. So thank you for doing this.
You're welcome.
So let's just start with, why are we even having this conversation? Like, what is glutathione? Let's start there.
Well, it's a great place to start, and it's the appropriate place to start, particularly for a new audience who may not have heard of glutathione. And lots of people haven't. Interesting that on Wednesday I had my annual physical, and the doctor that I go to always has interns there. And so with the interns, they do the workup and they do the stuff, and then they, eventually the doctor sort of takes over and does whatever. But so he asked me why I was so healthy. Like, it was sort of this big shock to him that I was this healthy. And I said, well, I actually optimized my glutathione. So this is someone who is fresh out of medical school, brand new, fresh out of doing his rotations. And he just blanked. His face went totally blank. He had no idea what I was talking about. And so I had to give him a little bit of an education on what glutathione is. So, if the medical field has forgotten, because they learned it way back in second year, pharmacology, when they were studying the Krebs cycle and before they made the decision about what they're going to specialize in. So they passed that test, and that's sort of old news, old knowledge, right? So I understand why it is that people will say, hey, what is this? Why are we talking about it? And glutathione is your immune response. It's in complete control of your immune response in your body. It controls the detoxification process in your body, and it controls the oxidative response. Now, this is where it's really, really interesting, at least from a scientific point of view. Oxidation is a part of life. We're not ever going to get rid of oxidation, no matter how many antioxidants. If we took too many antioxidants, we literally couldn't live, because we need to burn fuel. We need energy to do what we're doing. So there is a burning process going on in our body. So when we became an organism, a group of cells that came together, each one of those cells inside of themselves had a protective mechanism, a mechanism for getting rid of the waste products from this fire, this energy burning that's going on within the cell. So think of your cell as being a little factory. The purpose of that cell is actually to make protein. We are essentially protein. So it's to make protein or to make a new cell. That's really all that they're there for. But to do that, they take in nutrients that are in the blood. They take in oxygen. They burn sugar. They use oxygen. And there's going to be some waste product left over from that. There's also going to be some heat generated. Every time energy is produced, heat is generated. So we know that, our body temperature is around 98 degrees Fahrenheit, or if it isn't, then we're in trouble. And we monitor that. We can monitor that. It's so predictable. That's the amount of energy that the combination of cells are producing. And so we need something inside the cell to protect the cell, to take away that waste material, and to grab onto anything that is left over from that process that could damage the cell from the inside. That molecule is glutathione. So every cell makes its own glutathione. That's the natural process. So the process by which nature wanted us to do this is to gather amino acids, particular amino acids. They arrive at the cell membrane in a particular ratio. When they do that, they unlock a little receptor site, and that receptor site then combines the amino acids in a very, very specific way and form to make glutathione. Then once you have glutathione, you need a little mineral called selenium to trigger glutathione activity, to make it active in the body. So that's really how glutathione works. Now, glutathione was discovered in 1888. By the 1920s, they've learned so much about what it did in the body. They actually said glutathione was coincident with life. In other words, you cannot have life without glutathione. So my point to that, Candace, is this. If you're going to take a supplement, if you're wondering which supplement should I take out of all the supplements that are on the planet, why not take the one that's coincident with life? In other words, the one that's supporting life from inside and outside the cell. And that's what glutathione does.
My next question is, how do we actually know that we need it? Like, who would this be for?
Well, first of all, if you have any kind of chronic condition going on, definitely that's a sign that your glutathione is low. If you're over the age of 35, your glutathione store. So the liver is responsible for producing glutathione in the body, the majority of the glutathione in the body. Remember that every cell produces its own glutathione. But for the big processes like detoxification and some other things that go on in the body, the liver produces about 50%. The liver also is where we dump everything in our body, and it has to get cleaned out of our body, and glutathione enables that. So the detoxification process. So if for whatever reason, known only to the creator of the human species, decided that around the fourth decade, somewhere in the late third and early fourth decade, our body's ability to generate and recycle glutathione begins to slow down. So if you're over the age of 35, you're in a process whereby your body is going to start making 1% less glutathione per year, 10% per decade, for as long as you live. So that leads us to, looking, one of the things that we did in research is look at centenarians, people that are 100 years old. And we found that people that are 100 years old are healthy. I mean, there's people that are 100 years old and they're not healthy, and they're being kept alive by drugs. But people that are healthy, that are centenarians, when we look at them, we see that they have glutathione levels that are equivalent to someone who's in their mid-40s or maybe early 50s. So they have some genetic thing going on in their body that switch didn't get turned off. Now, how many centenarians are there? There's not very many. So we're not talking about a lot of people, and your chances of being one of those people are, I'm talking not you, Candace, I'm just talking generally as people, our chances of being somebody that's, got a 100-year lifespan is pretty slim. And so we know that now, the things that use up glutathione essentially are the things that determine our need for it. So what uses up glutathione? Well, if you happen to be a smoker, if you are a smoker, and I know there are some smokers, I just want you to know that no amount of glutathione and vitamin C and et cetera that you're taking can actually really make up for the damage that smoking is doing to your body. You're taking in 19 carcinogens, you're taking in over 200 toxins at that time. It's a big load on your body. So, I'm not here to preach against smoking. It's just a simple fact that you're stressing your body to the point where even supplementation can't keep up with that. So smoking does that. Working in a stressful job, being in a stressful family situation. These are all things that stimulate a subclinical, in other words, we're not aware of it, immune response in our body, which activates glutathione. Environmental toxins that are around us. So, I don't know what goes on over where you live, but here, of course, pretty soon it's going to be mosquito season. And where they can, they're going to be spraying for mosquitoes on the farms. They're going to be spraying for all sorts of stuff. All those environmental toxins, there's 88,000 herbicides and pesticides that are permitted for use in just agriculture alone in North America. And then there's about 100,000 chemicals that are approved for manufacturing. So there's a lot of toxicity. We live in a toxic world. There's no question about that. So those are things. Drugs. So if you are on drugs, if you're taking 4 Tylenol, extra strength Tylenol every day, that takes 4 grams or 40% of your glutathione actually to metabolize that Tylenol. So somebody who's on a number of drugs, their glutathione stores are actually busy metabolizing the drugs rather than protecting them. It's one of the reasons why when people get on 1, 2, 3, or 4 drugs, they start getting more and more illnesses, because their glutathiones actually occupy metabolizing and clearing the drug out of their body as compared to protecting their body. So there's a lot of things. Now, here's the one that really surprises people: exercise. If you're somebody who's trying to be really, really healthy, they're out there, they're exercising. You know, there's Ian Castle, our buddy there, who's just a monster man when it comes to exercise. I know he eat right. He does a lot of things right. He's using his glutathione at a tremendous rate. Endurance athletes are 8 times more likely to be arthritic, diabetic, or suffer chronic illness later on in life than people who aren't in those risk factors. Why is that? Lots of oxidative stress on their body from exercise. And so if you're someone who's really deep into the exercise world, you need extra glutathione. The real cool thing about optimizing your glutathione, people that are exercising, they use a lot of glutathione, a lot of oxidative stress. So it's for healthy people. Here's the one I really love, though: children. Right now the statistics are that 1 in 2 children born in North America are at risk of a chronic illness before they're a teenager. So they're at risk of becoming diabetic. They're at risk of becoming, it's a frightening statistic. And I don't think Australia's much better. Canada's not much better than that because of the food choices. It's not just food choices, though. It's lifestyle. It's the fact, structured schools, the push to compete, to be your best, all the things that we do with kids. We want them to be the best and do the best. They're using up their glutathione at a tremendous rate. So this is something, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to make this new product, this Immuniti product, as compared to Bara, is to have a product that was viable for children. Anybody can take this. Infants can take it. So people that are in a situation like our grandchildren, there's no option as to whether they're going to be vaccinated or not. It's a law. It's just a law. They have to be vaccinated. So, one of the things that we've made sure with our grandchildren is that they have been optimizing their glutathione through that process so that there's no risk associated with the vaccination. It will take the thimerosal, take everything out of their body that goes in there. So, and I love the fact we have a product that's now, it's good for kids. It's also good for your pets, but it's good for children. It's good for infants. It's also good for the elderly. It tastes really good. It tastes really good. It's beautiful for someone who's elderly. And here's a really cool thing that you can do with this product that you couldn't do with the other one is because it's not heat sensitive, you could actually make it into Jello.
Wow.
Cool. You can actually make it into Jello, and then you could just have someone elderly who, they could eat the Jello. If they have trouble swallowing or whatever, a child that, doesn't want to have a drink or whatever, well, you can make them some Jello. Or what do you call it? Jelly over there, don't you?
Jelly.
Like, jelly?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or pudding. You can make it into something, right? Because it's not heat sensitive. So this is really cool. So what that means for us? What does it mean for us? It's giving us a tool that was not available. Yay, jelly. It's giving us a tool that it hasn't been available to us as a human species in a very convenient form. It's been available, and we've played around with glutathione a lot. There was whey protein isolates, which are effective. They're not nice to take. They're made out of whey. They're made out of unprocessed milk, so they taste very cheesy, and they're very sensitive to mixing. They're very sensitive to light and heat. So while they work, they're not very nice to work with, and kids won't eat them. But our new product, it's not heat or light or mixing sensitive, so it tastes good. It's really easy to work with. And so I think, for the consumer, now we have a tool that's really easy for them to use in their situation, whatever that is. So, kids that are taste and texture sensitive, we have something that we can really work with to find a way for them to take it. And even for adults that are taste and texture sensitive. So, this is a really cool product, but it's not just Immuniti is actually the Arctic Immuniti blend. And I want to really get people to understand that this is a blended product. So we've taken the invention of this doctor from New York and his patented way of distributing the amino acids to make glutathione with the selenium in it. We've taken that and then we've said, well, what else can we do to support that? Right? So we've looked at, okay, so glutathione does these things. Glutathione is the master antioxidant. So let's put some extra antioxidants in this formula. You have the master antioxidant. You can actually get a synergistic effect. You can actually get a better effect than of the antioxidants that you do take. So we have some vitamin C, some vitamin E. We have the Arctic cloudberry, Arctic lingonberry, which is rich in vitamin C and bioflavonoids and other things. So we've looked at how can we best support this, as we create glutathione, what else can we do? We've added beetroot juice, which is, excellent for your cardiovascular system. We've added CoQ10, which is a direct product to oxygenate heart muscle. It's the only natural product that we know of that can oxygenate heart muscle, even damaged heart muscle. So somebody who's had a cardiovascular accident and they have weakened heart muscle, CoQ10 can actually get oxygen to that weakened heart muscle and make it stronger. So we've really looked at, the whole, and then we've also looked at, like Provita, what's in Provita? Well, it's got arginine, glycine, proline. It's got amino acids that also support these activities in the body. So glycine supports the regeneration of glutathione in your body. The arginine supports the cardiovascular system. So you can get this product out into the, all the areas of your body, especially into your brain, just increase the flow. So they work very synergistically together. So, I think the thing I'd like to help people understand is that this isn't something we sort of pulled out of our, out of a recipe book 8 weeks ago and decided to do something. This has been almost a year of work. Literally, we started this April 28th, 2016 is the first time the Visi Science Advisory Board met and started to talk about the recreation or the creation of this product, not recreating VAR, but creating a completely new product for the market, looking at what was going on in the market and what could we bring to the market that would fill this demand. Because I've said for years, and it's coming true, I'll say it again, glutathione will be the number one supplement, the number one demanded supplement in the future. And here's how I know that. 2 reasons. One is people are getting to know about it, but researchers and in this area have actually petitioned the FDA in the United States to change the optimization of glutathione from an alternative therapy. Right now it's classified as an alternative therapy. They've asked the FDA to reclassify it as a medical protocol. So in other words, doctors will be trained on the fact that glutathione, if you have somebody who's sick, their glutathione needs to be optimized. So that will become part of medical training. Now, when's that going to happen? Well, we don't know. But at least, that's how important it is that people are now saying to the FDA and the regulatory bodies, look, there's no question about the importance of optimizing glutathione. That is off the table.
Yeah.
It's not smoke and mirrors anymore. It's a fact that we need to optimize. Hi, Kim. Nice to see you. We need to optimize glutathione, and it's so important in so many different diseases, over 100 so far. That's growing every day, but there's currently 100 diseases that have been identified that the medical researchers have said to the FDA, look, here's 100 diseases that would benefit from glutathione supplementation. 100 diseases, and it's growing every day. So it's now going to be talked about as medical protocol.
One of the things that you mentioned was about how right now, I can't even remember how you exactly said it, but one of the things I know you've told me before is that glutathione right now in patients who have cancer who are being treated with chemo, that they're actually being given glutathione to protect their healthy cells through intravenously. So this being medical protocol in the future, because you can take it orally, how is that going to be different?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question, because first of all, they have stopped giving injectable glutathione to cancer patients.
Oh, okay.
Because molecular glutathione, and you can see this on National Institute of Health, there's now some information on there, there's 4 or 5 different studies where they're saying, listen, you're interrupting the effectiveness of the chemotherapy because the glutathione immediately recognizes the chemo as a poison and scoots it out of the body.
Yeah.
So that's not what you want. What we want to do is we want to, so glutathione doesn't treat cancer. What glutathione does is it treats the healthy cell. And when you have cancer, cancer is actually the symptom of a different disease. Cancer is actually the end symptom of an irregular methylation process going on in a cell. From that, you get these crazy cells, and they're unregulated in their replication. So because they're unregulated, they need a lot of glutathione. So what happens is they can't get enough, they can't manufacture glutathione fast enough on their own, so they start to steal the glutathione out of the healthy cells. So what was discovered in 2008 in a study done here in Canada is that if you gave precursor amino acids, that would make intracellular glutathione and keep the healthy cell healthy and does not interrupt the chemotherapy process. So there's no interruption. So now the healthy cell doesn't give up its glutathione to the cancer cell. Well, we know that glutathione is coincident with life. You have to have it. So what happens is you start to see tumor reduction, you start to see lesion reduction because the tumor cannot get enough glutathione to sustain its own life. So it starts to, what's called apoptosis, it starts to die off. And the healthy cells stay healthy. So that's that's my experience in that. If you give them glutathione, molecular glutathione through injection or inhalation, you have to do that in between chemotherapy. It becomes a very onerous sort of process, and so it's actually being advised against now.
Yeah, cool. That's amazing, amazing. So, Ellen, you've been using this for a while. Could you share with us some of, like, I guess, just the life stories of people that you've just had that firsthand experience, that front row seat to seeing how this has impacted people with some of these chronic conditions that low glutathione has been, just classified as a common denominator among, you said, over 100 of them. Is there a few that you could just share with us today? Just to
Sure. So let's just start. Let's go from head to toe.
Okay, cool.
So glutathione is necessary for the interaction of the neurotransmitters. So in your brain, you have neurons, and they shoot little things back and forth, little chemicals back and forth to communicate.
Yeah.
If the space gets too wide, of course they can't, and then you can't communicate. You have something physical show up. But glutathione actually supports the development and the transmission of these neurochemicals in the brain. So one of the things that people will notice right away is increased cognition. So I have a 51-year-old nephew with Parkinson's, and as soon as we got him, like, his doctor told him to take glutathione, so he went and got some, and it didn't work. Then we got him taking the precursor amino acids, and within a few weeks there was some major changes. His resting tremors went away. His neck loosened up, and he's had some really amazing success with it. And his cognition is much, much better. People with concussion injury. Glutathione is essential, as is collagen, for the repair of the collagen network around your brain, reduction of inflammation, allowing the brain to collect itself. So, any kind of injury to the brain, where there's an interruption and there's an inflammation, glutathione is extremely important in reducing that inflammation, collagen in repairing the fibrils in the brain. Glaucoma. So I had 2 people that volunteered to take some product. As we were putting different formulas and flavors and stuff together, they were like, oh, whatever. Anyway, we had fun with it. But the one in particular was in a situation where surgery was imminent for the glaucoma. The pressure just wasn't being controlled. Actually, the doctors were not really sure what they were going to do. And after a month on the product, the pressures came down significantly, so no longer needed surgery. Since that, the pressures have normalized. And so skeptical person went off of the product, and within 7 days, her pressures were back up in her eye. And so as soon as she got back on, pressures came right back down again. I have an older gentleman. I say he's 75. I don't know. Is that old? That's older than me. So he's old. Right? Anybody that's 10 years older than us is old. So cataracts, right? Huge challenge with cataracts, and he drives for a living. That's what he does. So cataracts. So I started him taking the product, and within a few weeks, his cataracts completely disappeared, that's amazing. Nobody ever would expect that, but literally that disappeared. Asthma, people with asthma, when they take the precursor amino acids, they can take a lot more than they can of the molecular glutathione. It has a lot better effect on asthma. Your skin. Then there's the things you don't notice. I mean, there's all the things that we do notice, but there's things that we don't notice, and that is the detox. Like we would. The way our liver works, if I can explain it this way, the way our liver works, it's like the landfill site in our body, right? And so it, like most landfills, it takes a long time for them to become a problem. And then once they're a problem, they're a real problem. And so it is with our liver. Like our liver can go a long, long time, and we're asymptomatic. And then all of a sudden, our liver, it lets us know through jaundice and through illness that you've got a problem. So I had a gentleman who literally was given 6 months to live. His liver was supposedly he had cirrhosis of the liver. The doctor had told him to quit drinking. He wasn't a drinker, but it was food choices, high sugar diet, whatever. And so there's no treatment. His doctor literally told him to get his affairs in order. And we started him on the precursor amino acids, a pretty high dose. He went back in for a scan 3 months later, and you could see his liver again. And then 6 months later, his liver there was no sign of cirrhosis at all. So, that's just cool stuff, right? I mean, and the doctor said, well, that makes sense because, ordinarily we would have given N-acetylcysteine and tried to increase the glutathione in the liver, but you've done it. Seems like a better way. And so that's cool. So that's something you wouldn't see. Like you can't even, like he didn't know. He didn't know he was like dying. His liver hadn't got to that point yet where it's going to tell him that. Yeah. But he was having a routine check. The precursor amino acid, the way the formula is put together in Immuniti, one of the amino acids actually has been shown to reduce cholesterol. So just in this formulation, when people start taking it, if they have high cholesterol, we generally see a normalization or certainly a reduction in cholesterol, which is a good thing because it's natural and there's no side effects. So, what else? Oh, one that I dealt with this is a couple of years ago when I first really got sort of started down this track. Was a kidney transplant patient. They're very reluctant to give them anything. But anyway, this was just a case where something had to happen. And they were actually quite scared to give him to boost his glutathione. They thought it would interrupt the immunosuppressive drugs. But anyway, the risk, it was too great. And so they started him on some precursor amino acids. And they found out that it made his cells healthier, did not interrupt the immunosuppressive drugs, and actually, helped. It was quite helpful for him. And that's probably the only contraindication to glutathione therapy. Optimizing glutathione is an organ transplant, but his case was so critical that they just went ahead and tried it. So, and it worked out really well for him. And just, then there's just lots of people like that. They just get more energy. Because we start to build more mitochondria in our cells. So we get back to building energy like we used to when we were younger. And there's just so many things that happen to people. One of the challenges in talking about glutathione is the fact that it's involved in over 250 processes in our body. So when we elevate glutathione, there's 250 things that could happen literally in our body. And which one are we going to notice? And which one are we going to notice first? So that's one of the really cool things. For me, what makes this product so unique, though, and it really puts it above what's in the marketplace right now, is its convenience of use. Very, very consumer adaptable. It works. The formula that we put in there to build glutathione was tested against the drug standard. It's 2.5 times as efficient as the drug standard at building glutathione. So it works. It tastes good. It's easy to take, and anybody can take it. And that you just can't say that about very many products at all. And that's what makes me really, really excited, is that we have this now opportunity to touch so many lives because of the quality of the product, and also that stuff. It's just the consumability is so nice.
Yeah, amazing. It
is, and it's purple, and and anything that's purple's got to be good.
Always.
Yeah, it's a beautiful color. The packaging is really good, and So this is. Here's what I want people. I don't want to try to turn people into salespeople, because people don't want to be salespeople. But here's what I would just ask them to do. Maybe this product is for them, maybe it isn't. I don't know, but they probably know somebody who's suffering from some kind of chronic illness right now. And if they would just make a list of some of those people, and then just give them the chance, get it 7 days to them, or a week or something. Just get some of this to them, and let them try it out, because this product is designed in such a way that it works right away. Like, you don't have to wait for 2 or 3 weeks or something to see if it's going to. Generally speaking, people know something's going on after a very short period of time, 30, 40 minutes in their body, and they're like, hey, you know what? I'm feeling something.
Yeah.
So that's what I ask of people. Like, just, I think at our core, we really want to see other people out of pain. We want to see them healthy. We want to see them happy. We want to see them like that. And so, just out of the kindness of our heart, or the gratification we would get from knowing that we have touched another human's life, that's really what I would like people to think about. And yes, of course, you can build a business and you can do all that kind of stuff around that. But what a great opportunity to build a business around helping out other people, making their lives better, giving them hope. This is sort of hope for the hopeless. This is, most of the people that I get to talk to about glutathione, they've gone through everything.
Yeah.
And then they come and they try it, and they're like, well, why didn't I know about this before? And now we have the opportunity to go through them now and say, now you know, right? And you can't, there's no harm that can be done. There's no side effect. There's no downside to this. It's not like it's going to make their heart race, or it's going to do this, or it's going to do that, or there's a chance of this. The only thing it can do is help them feel better. That's cool for me. Anyway.
Which I love.